am not surprised at all about the revelation, because I have said time and again that when you have a system or a country in which there are no consequences for misbehavior or wrongdoing, it becomes the norm and people do it with impunity. So it doesn't come to me as a surprise at all that the behavior or that practice is still ongoing. And but the only part which shocked me a bit is that those who are responsible for that, they are not shameful at all. It doesn't occur to them that there is anything wrong, including the administrator of the scholarship secretariat. Is telling us that I listened to an interview on Joy FM or radio, I think TV, and where I saw him saying that, well, there is no legal framework. That is why he thinks the discretion is being exercised that way. And I say, I beg to differ. Even if there is no legal framework, being the administrator and the position you've held for almost 7 years, shouldn't you come out with some policies which can guide to ensure that you don't take capricious decisions and you are not arbitrary in the discharge of your duties? I couldn't wrap my head, I guess, around it.
Right.
So that is where we are.
Right. So in fact, in that audit, you were assured that they were going to take steps to correct the wrongs that had been identified by your auditors at the time, including the wrong that over 3,000 applicants, only 12 of that number submitted complete documents. You had a sort of a relief at the time, and you gave them a benefit of the doubt when they promised and assured you that they were now going to put in place the guidelines and the policies for the award of the scholarship.
Yes, Samson, that is true, because I thought maybe it never occurred to them that they need to come out with policies or guidelines in order to be objective and ensure that they are serving the public interest instead of other interests. So one would have expected that from 2020 to today, now they will have come out with policies and guidelines so to help people. Anyway, I'm happy to hear that the administration of that scholarship has moved from Gate Fund to the scholarship secretariat. That by itself is good, because that is what the law requires.
Right.
But if the scholarship secretariat has not been able to do better than Gate Fund, then it is regrettable, because I thought that is their preoccupation 24/7. So if all that you do is to administer scholarship, you don't just wake up every day and say, let's give it to Mr. Tall, Mr. Short, Mr. Fat, so and so. No, you must have criteria, and that criteria must be published or made known to everybody. Said that, and even I don't think they can even sit in the comfort of their office and come out with such a policy or a criteria. They need to do a bit of consultation to get different stakeholders' input, so that they come out with a policy which will serve the interests of the country. But if it is still not there, then let me say it's very regrettable.
Right. You had also flagged the breach of the law at the time. Section 2, subsection 2 of the Get Fund law.
Subsection 2B.
Yes, correct. Thank you very much. That these scholarships were to be for gifted but needy students. And they were supposed to be for the sponsorship of local sponsorships, not foreign. At the time, your audit had found that out of the over 3,000 applicants, you had only about 800 that were local sponsorship. This revelation, again by the Fourth Estate, shows that no steps have been taken to correct this.
Yes, and if you remember, my critics during those days came out with some flimsy excuse that those scholarships were granted under E instead of B. The section 2B,
right.
They said it was granted under the E, which says that the minister, together with the board, can also use part of the gate fund to fund other education-related policies or activities. So they shamefully did that. And, well, I'm not a lawyer, you are. I was, to me, it was actually funny, because they've forgotten that the gate fund has what they call distribution or allocation formula, which goes to Parliament for approval.
Right.
And in that formula, the E is not there. So, I don't know how.
But even granted that anybody wanted to use Section 22E, if we grant those making that argument, if we grant them their argument, then you may say it is a window, a small window. You don't turn that window into a gaping door.
The main door, yes, exactly. That is my problem. And to be honest with you, it disturbs me a lot that people abuse scholarships for gifted but needy students this way. But what baffles my mind, honestly, to speak, is that the Secretariat allows this to continue. First, I thought when we did the audit, they didn't know. But this has been brought to the fore, and they got to know about it. And I remember the gentleman who, Kingsley Abuaji, also, who was named Dr. Kingsley Abuaji, all those days. He was quite new in the office, so I thought maybe he didn't know about it. So I thought maybe they didn't know. So at least since the audit has revealed some of these things, it was very easy to say, look, now let's see what is expected of us. The law says this. We will do the right thing. And let me be honest with you, Samson. If we have a society in which the highest paid class can classify themselves as the needy, then we are in trouble. And someone I heard on one forum was talking about the salary of the minister, that the minister's salary makes him needy. So let's grant it. A minister takes home about 25,000 and he is needy. Do you know that some of the teachers and the public servants, they don't even take home 5,000?
3,000. 2,000.
Say again.
2,000.
Okay.
3,000.
Thank you. So if you are taking between 25 to 30,000 a month and you are needy, and so it is you who is supposed to benefit from this fund, then I find it unfortunate. But like the point you raised, the law actually limited the scope or the geographical space in which you can apply this what they call it, scholarship. It says to fund second cycle and tertiary education in Ghana.
Correct.
The law is very clear about that. And people are doing courses in Britain, in US, etc. Even the new report that I've seen, some of them have benefited twice. Some 2 times in a year, some after 1 year, the next year they get it again. And I'm like, it's not a surprise. Why would it be a surprise? Because the government or the executive is not minded to take any action when indiscipline of this nature comes to the fore. I thought the president would have called his ministers or his, at least the public servants under his this and said, please, refund that money within 24 hours with interest or I fire you. Nothing. So why do you think people will not move in and continue abusing? So that is where we are. I maintain my position.
Coming to know that despite the findings in the audit we are referencing now and all the breaches that occurred and the wastage and the cost to the state at the time, where you could see that because of political pressure, they even had to spend more than they had, their budget. They spent 300% more than they had.
Yes.
And still this is going on. In the interim, what do you think ought to be done? Solutions. What should we do?
Solutions, we have to get some minded Ghanaians to challenge this behavior in court, at least to injunct the Secretariat from misapplying the public funds. One, if Well, I don't know the total money which the Secretariat got during this period were all from Gate Fund. But if portion of the Gate Fund went into this, then I think there is illegality, and we may have to challenge and stop them. And if possible, we should seek a way of recovering this money from the beneficiaries, or punishing whoever is creating this opportunity. I think this finding of the fourth estate should not be let go, just like the auditor.
When you talk about recoveries, are you thinking about perhaps a special investigative committee going into this, or you are simply looking at the resort to surcharges and disallowances when it comes to the auditing process?
First and foremost, if I was in charge of the auditing process, I was going to disallow and surcharge. That one, there's no two ways about that. I was going to do that. But now that I don't have that powers and the Auditor-General is independent, I cannot push him and we cannot push him. I think, and this is a legal advice I need, I think if it is possible, we should get a team to go to court against these guys and say, refund the money to the consolidated fund or back into the Gate Fund or to the scholarship fund, because you are not one of the intended beneficiaries. I don't know if this is an action we can take. If it is possible, then I call upon well-meaning Ghanaians, let's come together and see what we can do to recover these monies.